Hey guys, ThinkThenkMaster51 here, or 1911 man, here to do a review / comparison. So guess what? That means buckle in, it's going to be a long one. I'm looking at everything here. Today what you guys are looking at is two classics. One is a GMP M4, the other is an AGM M4. What you have laid out is really everything I've got for these guns. I'm going to show you this rifle right now. This is the AGM that I just got. I'm going to roll in a picture right now of what it looked like before this, and this is what it looks like after. So I converted it back to the original rifle. Added one thing to it that isn't quite like Black Ops or Call of Duty Black Ops. I added this PRI charging handle, and yes, these Troy battle sights were in Black Ops, even though they weren't around at the time, but you know, whatever. So what you guys are looking at, like I said, AGM M4 slightly upgraded, and a GMP M4 that has been heavily upgraded. A lot of the parts that came on this got transferred over here. This has really gone through a extreme metamorphosis as a rifle and a whole. Right now I will roll in the annotation right here. You can click the guns for the evolution of my AR-15 / GMP M4 challenge kit video right here. Then you'll really get a good idea of what this used to look like. Basically what I did is I fixed up this Voltor rail, and I took it off of this rifle, threw it on here, grabbed my rail covers. I took off the ring, the handguard ring on the front of this, which is really fun, and I put it on here. Interesting, I had to modify it, I had to widen the port because the gas tube on here looks like it was aftermarket, so you know, whatever. Some things to say right out of the box. When you expect one of these things to come to your house, you're going to get some nice foam padding, surprisingly enough. You are going to probably get this. This is what I got, except I think this actually comes with a carry handle and a wrist system with some rail covers. I have a wrist system, but I don't want to put it on here because these are ridiculously hard to try to get off. Things straight off the bat that this has that obviously this doesn't if you install it correctly. This has a lot of barrel and it's not a lot of play up front. It's Chinese, what are you going to do? This is the pistol grip is really shiny plastic. This is more nylon fiber like this. This M4 stock came from here. I threw the Voltor stock on here because it feels and looks amazing. Excuse me. The quality on the metals on the buffer tubes look decent. They look pretty much the same. Nothing big, nothing different, and nothing big and different. Vertical grip came from this, basically from the old AR-15. This has a negative 14mm negative threading, which means lefty tighty, righty loosey. This has 14mm positive threading, which means righty tighty, lefty loosey. So they differ in that aspect. This also, for some reason, has a bayonet lug, even though the barrel wouldn't be able to support a bayonet. You know, whatever. Now the only thing that I don't like about this M4 so far is the weight. It weighs at least 8 pounds. If not more, because this rail adds a lot of weight. It's not light. It is definitely not a lightweight rail. I had some issues initially when I first got it. I fixed those. It still got a little bit of play up front, but you know, whatever, it's okay. I took off the triangle sight for here because I wanted it low profile so I can make it a DMR for this Bushel 3 to 6 times zoom optic. It has an MOE pistol grip, a Magpul bad lever, steel ambi mag catch, anti-rotational lock, a Magpul ASAP or something for slings. It's got Voltor rail, obviously, vertical grip came with this. Bushel, I just said that. It's got something else steel in it. Oh, it's got a steel, the bad lever steel, so that makes it really nice. This has a steel bolt catch on it right now. So some quality differences. Obviously, this has a lot more play than this does, but the play up here is from the rail. This is much more lightweight because this is a DMR right now. So I mean, I'm probably going to end up throwing a bipod on here because this thing is not something you want to be carrying around. It's very heavy. I'm running very lightweight. I don't even think I'm going to have a scope on there or a red dot. I'm going to roll in really quickly my other AR that can probably relate more to this one rather than this one, because this one weighs a lot more than my other one setup. So I'm going to do that now. Okay, so this is probably more comparable to than my DMR setup was, just because it added a good couple pounds, if not more. This is a mid-length gas system, so I mean it still has a little bit more weight on this guy, but you know. Now, like I said, to compare these two, this is a mid-length gas system, so that means the gas block is a little further up here, which means a longer hand guards. I'm gonna minimize both of these, right, so you can see. You can definitely see there's a little bit of. This is shorter than this guy just by a little bit. Put that down. Excuse me. I'm going to try to stop saying This, like I said, I'm not going to run with a red dot, so, you know. M4s, versatility. I'm going to start right off the bat. Both of these M4s are very versatile, just shown here. I mean, it went from looking somewhat like this to, I mean, except with a longer barrel, so it went out to about here. DMR actually used to be the old one. To looking like this. It looks completely different. It's completely customized. Red dot, bad lever, steel bolt, ambi, so I can release it from both sides. Another sling adapter. I mean, it's got flip-up sights. This is pretty tricked out. This is one of those cool. This is the second kind of cool that nothing fancy says. This is second kind of cool. This thing is pimped out. So I mean, you know. Just the fact that you can do that with M4s is just really attractive to me. Some other things about M4s that I really, really like is the fact that they're so interchangeable. You can change pretty much, these two M4s are pretty interchangeable, except for this upper receiver just cannot go on this. I had some issues. The rear receiver back here is a little bit too skinny for the block that goes into the lower receiver that marries the two receivers. It's too big. So it won't marry correctly. It won't lock in. Unfortunately, you know, whatever. I also noticed some other issues. Obviously, I'm going into more of a review for this than I am doing this right now. So right now, what you're looking at is my AGM M4. Obviously, just got this today. Very small. I like that. It's very compact. It's you can maneuver very effectively with it. I mean, you can get it really close to your body and not have to worry about length. Some things I had some problems with was when I got it, the castle nut was really loose, which, you know, was expected. I mean, it's not exactly top grade like this GMP is, so, you know, I mean, definitely a little bit, there's a gap between quality. The magazine release, when it came, actually there are it's a 3-set piece, so there's a one continuous screw that goes in one end and then the other end screws on. So it was the button, that long screw, it was kind of like a grub screw, except longer obviously. And then Xbox, sorry. And then you had the magazine release bar. So, and then the little nut or the screw would screw into the bar, and then you'd push it in and screw on, or you'd push the button in and screw on the lever. So it was 3 pieces as opposed to this, the GMP M4, which actually came with just the standard kind of magazine release. So it was, I had to Loctite this. This is really different. It's a little odd. Obviously, there's some quality issues. The barrel wobbles. So, I mean, obviously the GMP doesn't do that if you install it correctly. There's a little bit of play between the two receivers. You can definitely see there's a bit of a play in there. So, something else to highlight about these two receivers. The biggest really thing that jumped out at me was the meshing issue with the charging handle. Like, the bolt catch doesn't really work all that well either. It's really sluggish. I mean, you can get it to stick there. So, oh, and the forward assist doesn't work. I have to go in and grind that down and really set that up. I mean, it turns really badly. It's not that all great. It's not that great. The bolt, I got a reinforced bolt, so I can't really tell you. I got a reinforced nozzle and bolt, so I can't really exactly tell you accurately about the bolt. But pretty much everything on this gun is stock, so really I made it stock. The only not stock thing on here is technically that, but I mean, you know, you pretty much end up getting the same kind of stock, except this is nylon fiber. The sights obviously would be carry handle. I'm just trying to think. No anti-rotational latch. Now, one thing I have not heard from from AGMs that I have heard from GMPs is that GMPs require anti-rotational latches. They have to have them, or the pins will work themselves out. Every time I've ever heard of anything about a GMP M4, it required an anti-rotational latch. This, I don't know how much it requires it. It seems to be pretty solid. The full auto sear pin does not work its way out like it does on this gun. But obviously, maybe that's just me, but I've never actually heard of an AGM requiring an anti-rotational latch. Obviously, your mileage may vary. It's not going to be the same for everybody, but I'm pretty certain I've never heard that. Some differences between those are obviously the threading, which means you're going to have to find yourself different kinds of suppressors or flash brakes. Obviously, you don't need these. But I have seen some mock Surefires for the gas blowback or a gas blowback market. That's just nice. Some things about the selector switch. This is really solid on here. On the GMP M4, or the GMP AR-15, you can push it in a little bit. So it's not the same, but that's also because this was a virgin kit when I built it. This has probably been worked in the factory a little bit, people messing around, which also still kind of begs the question why you still have that meshing problem here. The charging handle you get with this is really, really not good looking. I mean, it's really skinny. Here, I'll show you. It's the quality is lacking on this charging handle. You can definitely see that there isn't that much meat on the bones. It's definitely not as big as its bigger brother, this GMP. I mean, there's a good centimeter difference between this, how fat it is and how fat this is, which really does make a difference in an engagement. You can see I will also have another annotation about here for my cleaning AGM video, or AGM cleaning and diagnosis video. I will be putting an annotation over the gun. Some issues I've had with the GMP that I haven't had with this AGM, or and vice versa, is the pins on here. I have not really had the problem where you yank it and then pull the pin out. You really kind of have to work the pin out to try to get it out, but then when it's out, obviously it's not good. You never have that problem with this, but it is almost impossible when you first build this gun to get the pins out. It's impossible. You have to have another tool. You cannot do it with your fingers. It doesn't work. This one, you can see, I just pop them out with my fingers, and it comes out. It's good. But then you can also have them come out like that. But, you know, you have to apply a little bit of force. So, you know, they still work. They're pretty good. Not bad. It engages okay. I mean, it's not great, but it's not. I mean, it's not horrible. I've also had some problems. It looks like this buffer that I got with it. Usually, you get crap-tastic buffers on this. The trader I got it from replaced it with a King Arm speed buffer, which I love. I don't know why you'd want to replace them. Why would you want recoil in airsoft? I feel like if you're trying to get rounds on target, you don't want to have to constantly be re-aiming. That's just my philosophy. It's my real steel philosophy, and it's my philosophy here. I've had an issue where you can't exactly get these to marry perfectly every time. If you have it off to a certain angle, it doesn't close all the way, and you got to push the buffer in, like you saw me do there. And you have to push the buffer in and then try to finagle it in. Like in my other video, I got, I think it was New York Airsofter. He said, I think you said jank about 50 times, and yeah, I think I did. It was a bit jank when I first got it. If you see the unboxing video, you're going to see everything on my DMR on here, so right now, obviously, you know. Now, compatibility issues, I'll show you right now some compatibility straight out of the bat, right out of the gate, sorry. If you want to buy, like I did, or get it for Christmas, I suppose, if you want to get this upper for your M4 for Christmas, or just any time, it's not going to work. You're going to have to do some modification. The front end goes in, but it's really loose. A lot of play. You can see that. But then it just doesn't close because it's too big. So you're going to have to do some modification if you buy it for your AGM. Put that off to the side. But then if you also try to put this on, it's really, really loose. For some reason, the front end of this, where that pin goes in, is really super loose. But then it also, for some reason, it works with this. I don't know why. It's a little odd. The bolt and bolt carrier, they go in fine. I'm not sure why the other one does that. Maybe it's for extra clearance. This might just have a little less meat on the bones. But I mean, you still have that meshing issue because, you know, it's still pretty much the same gun. So, just with a different upper. So you still have that meshing issue. It's doesn't really go away because it is based on the lower. The reason that happens is this happens on a lot of real steel ARs. DPMS, excuse me. No, I'm just kidding. DPMS isn't a bad company. Just no one works at their plants. LOL. No, it's a gun guy joke. You had to be there. No, I'm just kidding. DPMS isn't a bad company. Their ARs are. LOL. But like I said, with real steel ARs, sometimes there's a meshing problem between the upper receiver and the lower receiver, where the buffer tube does not align correctly, and you get resistance on the base or the retaining block, and it's raised a little bit, or the buffer tube's in a little bit too far, or it's out a little bit too far, or it's a little bit sharp of an angle, so it doesn't mesh correctly, like I said. So that means when you try to put the two receivers together, you have a little bit of an issue like I'm having here. It's being weird, okay. And then when you try to pull back the charging handle, it's really gives that delayed feel. It's not that good of a quality. And now, an issue with this M4 I've not found is the magazine meshing issue. Now, this might be because I didn't get the original AGM mag, but I'm going to charge this. The bolt catch assembly I got on this is not correct at all. It's completely different than a stock, bolt catch assembly. It doesn't have a hole for a screw to push the bolt catch back up. When I got it, there was just this little itty-bitty spring finagled in there from the last owner. But, you know, the bolt catch is really, it sticks. Like, there's a delay. You can hear, like, it goes chink, chink. Listen. So it goes dot-dot. So that's not really what it's supposed to sound like. It's supposed to sound like a fluid motion. Sorry, I'm sitting on the ground, obviously. Different review angle. I'm trying to review two guns. That meshing issue I've not had. I mean, I just throw that King Arms mag, which for some reason works in here, but doesn't work in my GMP. I have not had to change this bolt out. It works phenomenally in here, but in the GMP, it just goes psss. It just doesn't work, or just the outer part of the bolt works. It just doesn't mesh well. And it's completely broken my other magazine, so it's it for some reason doesn't work. Now with these GHK mags, you have to modify. I had the same exact problem with both guns. With both guns, I mean, it's got a little. If you watch my unboxing video, excuse me. If you watch my unboxing video, you'll see that 2 people had to take this out of this gun. So But now it sort of meshes correctly. I mean, you can kind of hear the chink. You have to sand it down. The bolt catch works and everything, so, you know. Ugh. So, I mean, it's slowly but surely getting there. The reason I want to kind of keep this stock is what I plan on doing is I plan on throwing an impasse kit in here and running this primarily in CQB. I'll probably, obviously I'm going to run this one too, but I mean, I wanted a stock M4 just because of the look. I really like stock M4s. They just look really nice. Alright, some other differences between these two. Let me think. The markings on this, surprisingly enough, are actually engraved. These are laser etched, so these are probably going to last a lot longer than these. That only time will tell, obviously. Some differences also. Apparently you can't put GMP, or you can't put any other buffer tubes or anything on the end here on other M4s. Obviously I'm going to test that out because I don't want to just leave you guys in the dark. So, you know, let's see. The magazine wells, they pretty much accept basically the same magazines. I have noticed this one's a bit tighter. I mean, it's nothing major, but I mean, it's a little bit tighter, so I could see meshing issues if the AGM mags weren't built correctly. I've also noticed a trigger difference between the two. Between this M4 and this M4. Take these magazines out of the way. These are CO2 GHK mags. I don't know about them. I haven't really run them all that much. The stock... Alright, you know what, Mr. Stock, or Mr. Sling, you just got thrown away. No, I'm just kidding. If you watch, it's definitely a noticeable difference between the two hammer pressures. I mean, how hard how much force it takes to break the shot on here as opposed to breaking a shot on here is much different. This is much tauter. So just kind of watch my finger. It's not that hard, but I mean, like, take it out of. That's me pulling, like actually pulling. And this, just instant. It's just instant. This definitely has a harder trigger pull. This M4 also came with a plastic exaggerated trigger guard. This came with the standard straight metal one. I haven't decided. I haven't run either of these with. That's interesting. With either of these with gloves, so this is probably gonna prove better in the long run. I wouldn't doubt it. So as far as interchangeability goes between them, it's not that limited, but I mean the receivers, that kind of hinders my ability to run a lot of things through this if I can't really switch receivers that reliably. Because you saw how finicky both these receivers were on the pivot pin. It was really it wasn't very positive. So with that, obviously that's a little bit of an issue. The bolt catch area region here, it's just not designed correctly. There's not even a hole to put the spring to push this back up. There's no spring. It was just nothing. So I'm actually gonna have to end up buying a spring for it. Another thing is a selector switch is just like non-existent. Like, I mean, I can just flick it. Just flick it. It's like there's no detent in there at all. Like, I can flip it from auto to safe, like, just easily. Just there, and it bounces off. So, I mean, you know, it's little stuff like that, but I mean, it's not that bad. Even this full auto sear wasn't actually installed correctly. The spring is supposed to go in front of the contact point. There's this arm that goes behind the selector. The spring is supposed to go in front of it. For some reason, the spring is behind the the arm, so it's a little weird. But you know, it still works. I mean, it functions. I shot it in the unboxing video. You could see that. There's some wear on this. Obviously, it's probably going to wear a little bit faster. It's not the highest quality metal. I'm going to be replacing this hammer and the bolt catch because I don't really trust this bolt catch because I haven't installed it, so I don't trust it. So, you know, I'm probably going to end up replacing the hammer as well just because, like I said, if I haven't installed it, I don't trust it. Let me think. Now, I have had some issues with the bolt on this AGM. It doesn't hinder the performance at all, but it still is an issue. There's what you call bolt bounce. Bolt bounce can go two ways. Bolt bounce can, in the real steel world, make it so your your bolt bounces off the end of your buffer tube and then short strokes it so that you try to feed too fast, so it can't make a full cycle, or it doesn't let the magazine spring catch up, so it'll actually cycle in nothing because it goes too fast for the round to feed up. So if this is the round, the bolt would come back, and normally it would let the round in and then push it forward. Bolt bounce makes it so it goes ching before the round can come up. So in bolt bounce for here, it either obviously goes both ways. It can hit the barrel and locking lugs, and then bounce back and then forward, which obviously is not good for cyclic rate. It can cause all kinds of problems. It can cause your round to rupture. Usually when a round's in a tube, it explodes. There's an explosion. So the round actually explodes, and the barrel contains that explosion. So if it's out and then you pull the trigger and it ignites, it's going to explode or detonate your case, which means it detonates inside of the receiver, partially exposed, without anything covering it or without anything retaining it. So it would be inside. No, that is not what she said. And it would come out just a little bit and then explode. Obviously, that's bad. It gouges up your internals. It probably messes up everything. I'm sure you can find some pictures of it on YouTube or something. I can probably put a link in the description of the first thing that comes to mind. It was Gunn's websites. He posted up a picture of a 22 rupturing because it went in and then came out bolt mounts, and it ruptured. So that's the closest thing I can think of rupturing rounds. And airsoft, obviously, that doesn't happen, but if it bounces enough back, or far enough back, it can double feed a round. So, that's not great. It can cause jams, because I know it's not a Type bar barrel, but obviously it's not the best barrel. So yeah, that's just another thing I had problems with. Paint wear, it seems pretty normal. I haven't seen anything really drastic except for maybe on this magazine release. It's a little worn. A little worn past what it should be worn. Nothing major. Nothing really screams, holy crap, this is bad. Even the magazine well, it actually doesn't look that bad. But like I said, this handguard, just plastic, looks like some poo. So it's not the best, but I mean, it could be worse. I always look at it like that. But you can definitely see that bolt catch is just kind of hanging there, which isn't good. So I'm just going to put this back on. Now, some issues I've had with the GMP M4. When I first got it, I built it, obviously. It took me about 2 days because I only would spend about an hour or so a night on it with my dad. So I mean, it would sometimes, when I would fire, this probably has a little bit to do with the magazine, but I've also seen some issues. Canseb or something, I'll put a link in the description. He had some problems with it where he would pull the trigger and only part of the bolt, the nozzle, wouldn't disengage the barrel, or the barrel. So it would just be the metal part, not the whole bolt moving. It's really hard to explain. I had that problem for a little bit. But then I shot it. I continually shot it. I never actually shot rounds through it. So this gun's really, like I said, only had a few hundred rounds, 150 rounds through it, maybe. And that's just because I was using the incorrect magazine, and I didn't really think of it, and it didn't really, ping in my head. Oh, maybe you're using the wrong magazine. Didn't really think of that. Now these GHK mags, I ran it in this gun, and it worked perfect. There was no problem. So I'm finicking with the gun, which wasn't even the problem, which is good. I enjoy when the gun's not the problem. Now, obviously, the difference between this and this, the biggest difference I probably haven't talked about yet, is between these two, is I have pretty much almost all of the barrel lengths of an M4 minus the biggest. I'm just going to get rid of this low receiver. Obviously, that being the M16, the 28-inch barrel. Obviously, I don't have that. I don't really see a need for another or an M16, but obviously I might end up getting one because I'm an M4 freak or I'm an AR freak. So obviously, I have pretty much the different size. I have 3 different sizes here. Obviously, they can vary in length. Obviously, but the ones I have here, I have mid length. I have just I don't know what length this is actually. I can't for the life of me think of it. But I have 3 lengths. Obviously, earlier I misspoke. Obviously, there's a lot more barrel lengths out there. I'm going to move this over because it's not good. These 2 are probably more CQB ready, just because this one obviously is CQB ready. I mean, the barrel goes out to about, it's that big. This one's just that much bigger, so I mean, it's not nothing screams holy crap. It's that much bigger. Nothing big. This one, obviously, I don't think I'd be very proficient in CQB with. I would have some problems. I definitely would have some problems. This is kind of my midway, but hopefully I can run that a little bit more. I can run this. This would probably be my plinking upper. You can definitely see some differences here. This is much, much smaller, which is, you know, which is nice, especially when you want to try to run CQB. So, obviously, barrel length, there's a difference there. Neither one is good or bad because, I mean, you're using it for different things. You cannot compare this to a DMR and a DMR to this because you're not running a DMR in CQB and you're not running a CQBR as a DMR. If you are, I mean, if you can get kills with this, you are my idol. And you, like, distance, not just going Hail Mary on everybody. No, I'm talking like you threw on a scope and you're picking people off. If you can do that with this right here, you are my hero. I want to hug you. That's what has to happen. I have to hug you. I have to touch you. It has to happen. So, you know, let's see. So obviously I've covered pretty much everything. Reliability, obviously AGM's not the most reliable things. Obviously you're going to want to change things out. I'm going to be changing things out. Like I said, I'm probably going to have a video of that up. I'm going to try to get this video correct this time. My last video didn't work out too well. So that's why there's no installation video for this M4 here. Because something went wrong. Blah, blah, blah. So that's pretty much my review / comparison video of both of these M4s. I've pretty much gone over everything about them. I mean, they're super customizable. Now, something I didn't mention about this is I installed the 5KU hammer in this, and it is so increased my bolt speed. It just flies. It's too loud. I'm afraid to let it go because it's just really loud and scary in this upper. It's just like, it sounds like it's gonna break itself for some reason, but it's not going to. But you know, I mean, really, that's everything. Oh, the forward assist works on pretty much everything except for this upper, and I have to fix it and this upper. So apparently, that just seems like an inherent issue. You have to fix the forward assist on pretty much everything. So you know, I'll probably upload a video of that tonight too. So you know. That's pretty much it on these uppers, so I'm just trying to see if there's any real difference between these. Oh, these shell deflectors, this one's a lot more exaggerated than this is. These are for when the casings are flying out. These obviously do what they sound like, deflect it from flying in your face, but you can always get a modified extractor where it extracts it more to the front. But, I mean, extractors are not consistent, so, you know, it helps to have this. This one's much more exaggerated than this is. I don't know why. But, you know, that's pretty much it, guys. I mean, I'll probably do some more update videos individually of these rifles as they go along. I will probably make a separate video tonight of just this AGM M4, but that is pretty much my review of the my Western Arms based gas blowback M4s. Thanks for watching, guys.